Hi everybody, welcome to Accesso's ongoing learning series program. Today's video will discuss Accesso Passport's booking portal and Accesso Passport's cart abandonment offering. My name is Shane Broffman and I'm the Director of Product Management and Design here at Accesso. I've been with Accesso as almost about 10 years now, and I've worked on all types of clients. There's one thing that I've heard over and over again is how can we help the guests get more engaged and increase our guest satisfaction? Today, I'll show you two great ways that you can engage with guests while increasing their satisfaction as well. Before we get started though, there's a few housekeeping items. You may have already noticed that your voices are muted. They will remain muted throughout the session. However, you will be able to type questions to the moderator throughout the webinar. Then at the end of the session, we'll review those questions and we'll open up the Q&A session. Okay? All right, let's get started. At Accesso, we believe that technology has the power to redefine our guest experience. Everything we do starts with thinking about a guest first, and that allows us to help simplify operations, improve guest satisfaction, and inevitably drive growth for our clients, you. To accomplish this, Accesso focuses on research and development, a major point of differentiation between our products. In 2018, as an example, Accesso invested, I should say, $29 million directly back into the R&D across all our platforms. That's really equivalent to most of our competitors' entire annual revenues. We invest very heavily in our products because, well, industry demands it, because the clients benefit from it, and because of the positive experience that it does for guests. Our products and services support some of the top attractions in the world, anywhere from observation wheels to theme parks, from river cruises to performing arts. We do it all. So as we talk about some of the things today, you'll recognize that we have to account for these multiple different verticals when we're looking at how to increase guest satisfaction. So Accesso has a suite of solutions. We start with queuing, we have ticketing, distribution, and guest experience. Our approach is to let our clients really focus on what they do best, which is providing outstanding experiences for their guests, while we provide the technology to support those efforts. Now, let's break these groups down a little bit more. We think about them in 4 different groupings. The first is our queuing group, Accesso Low Queue. This provides a virtual queuing solution for attractions around the globe. If you've ever waited in a line and you said to yourself, you'd be willing to pay anything to get out of that line, then Low Queue is the solution for you. It comes in many different form factors. We have a band that you can wear. That's sort of like something like a watch, the Accesso Prism. We have a Q Smart, which is on a mobile phone. So there's just basically a web app. And then we have the Q Band. A Q Band is basically a waterized, rubberized band that can be used inside water parks. The second grouping is our ticketing. So it's a little larger here. So we have our showware solution, Accesso Showware. This solution is a fully hosted box office and online ticketing solution. It's predominantly used in like arenas, venues that have concerts, things like that. Then we have our Accesso Seriesware platform. This is a point of sale, really strong point of sale platform, and allows venues to manage on-site operations, food and beverage, and a whole host of other things. One of the biggest verticals for them is the ski market, the ski industry. Then we have our award-winning Accesso Passport e-commerce platform. Now, this is a fully hosted software solution service, and 2 of the things we'll talk about today are really hinged around this application, and it's predominantly geared around the theme park and water park industry. The third grouping is Ingresso. About a year ago, we acquired a company called Ingresso, and it's a global distribution system for ticketing venues. The solution allows us to sell tickets through lots of various third parties, some of which are like Expedia and Google. And then finally is our newest product offering, TE2, the Experience Engine. This helps marketers really utilize the guest data that they're collecting to deliver more personalized interactions for those guests. If you really want to be able to target and understand how you're interacting with guests, then TE2 is a great tool for you for that. Now, when we combine this together, we get the Accesso ecosystem. Pretty sweet. Now let's kind of shift our focus over to the Accesso Passport, and we'll talk about this and break down the additional items for that today. Okay, at Accesso Passport, we roll out features every 3 weeks for our e-commerce store. This high output means that we can really listen to our clients' needs and adapt, quickly turn around those enhancements into valuable functionality for them. Generally, clients who move to our solution will typically see about a 30% increase in online sales. We can sell 55 plus million tickets a year. And with our mobile responsive application, we support a wide variety of form factors. And we'll talk a lot about mobile today too, so you'll hear some of that. But we're really seeing a lot of guests driving to mobile. In 2018, for example, 40% of our clients came from mobile devices. So obviously mobile is a very big focus it's for us and should be for all of our clients as well. So how do we do it? Well, we do it more just simply by prompting the guest. So we sell more in advance through quick sells opportunities, cross-sell opportunities, and upsells. And you'll see that later when I demo the cart abandonment option. I'll point out a couple of places where we do quick sell, cross-sell, and upsells in there as well. Okay. Not only does doing these online capture more revenue up front, but it also has ramifications to your own site. Money spent before the guest arrives makes it easier for our guests to spend money on site. They forget about all the money they've done in advance, and they're more willing to pull out their wallet. So today we'll cover two of our guest satisfaction tools. The first is our booking portal. This is a post-purchase portal and allows guests to modify dates and times for tickets. The second tool is our Passport e-commerce cart abandonment tool. This module allows for an online guest to save their cart so they can purchase later with as little as friction as possible. If you've ever purchased on retail sites, shopping around for clothing and whatnot, virtually every e-commerce provider out there has some kind of tool like this. It's super helpful. Nothing's worse than picking a color and size and then abandoning your cart for some reason and then having to go through that whole process over and over again. So cart abandonment really helps you, reduce that need to rethink about the process. So why think about guest satisfaction? Well, satisfied customers contribute 2.6 times as much revenue as a somewhat satisfied customer. Dissatisfied customers, on the other hand, decrease revenue at a rate equal to 1.8 times what a totally satisfied customer contributes. So that's pretty significant. It's a big driver for how to increase sales is the satisfaction. Okay, so on to the first highlight. Let's look at accesso booking portal. One of the things that we hear over and over again is how important a guest recovery process is for venues. The booking portal application was born out of that need. In cases where a venue is subject to issues like low visibility, this is particularly handy. Think about the towers and wheels of the world who have to compete with clouds and storms. Nothing's worse from a guest perspective than buying your ticket a week or two in advance, showing up at the venue, lots of clouds, so you can't see anything out of your observation. And what do, right? So they have to go interact with a guest services agent potentially and try to move their ticket or get exchange or refunds or what have you. Well, the booking portal allows them to do some flexibility on their own, which alleviates the need for your guest services team to be as inundated with guest needs. It allows your agents also to have great insight into when guests are coming because you're attributing dates and times to those tickets. So you can anticipate what your volume is going to be for those days. This one works for, this option works for Passport end-to-end clients, and it completely supports orders that are booked online or on site, whether that be through a POS system or from our kiosk. And it's also very optimized for mobile devices as well. Okay, so let's look a little deeper into that one. So this is a login view of this one. You'll notice here it uses the same framework as your e-commerce store. So we keep it in the same iframe. You'll have your ability to brand it, which is a logo piece here. And then we have some verbiage, instructional verbiage, minor, confirmation order ID, or email and ticket barcodes. These are two ways you can log into the system. Confirmation order ID is really the same thing, but just depending on what kind of terminology you call it. And if it's captured online, we capture an email address for an order, which enters this. But if you're purchasing a ticket on site, sometimes you don't have a need to capture an email address, so you wouldn't have that associated with the order. However, you will have the barcode. So we'll allow the last 4 digits of the barcode in order to pull up and retrieve that order. Okay, so let's move forward. So One of the ways that the guest can get to the portal is through an email notice. So when a guest is making a purchase for a booking portal eligible ticket, then there's a couple different ways they can be prompted to get to the booking portal. This is a post-purchase email template that is sent to the guest, listing out what was purchased, and it lists out the dates and times that were attributed to the ticket or the entitlements. And you'll notice here, you'll see needs date and time selection, meaning this item they've been purchased, but they do not have a date and time associated to them, but they need to have that really in order to make the experience better. And you can use this email template. The guest can click this, and we auto log the guest into the booking portal. So the guest actually doesn't have to re-enter anything. This is very simple and seamless. Another option that you can do is inside of the purchase process for e-commerce, there's also a modal that can pop up post-purchase. So the guest goes through, they make their order, and they receive a generalized confirmation page. It says, thank you for your order's complete. We trigger a modal there that says, hey, you have tickets that need to have a date and time associated to them. Please visit this link and go and assign those dates and times to it. Now, some of you might be asking, why did we build a booking portal that if a ticket requires a date and time, why force them to do it post-purchase? Well, that was very simply because getting a guest stuck in the purchase process can be detrimental to the business and lose conversion. Guests who have a long, drawn-out shopping cart process typically abandon their cart. And we didn't want that. So we try to reduce as many clicks as possible and as many steps as possible so they can do it post-purchase. You still get the thing that you need, but the guest isn't hindered from making the purchase quicker online. Okay, so let's go a little deeper now and go into the portal. So now I've logged into the portal, and this is my view. This is really meant to be a quick snapshot of what is on this order. So you'll notice here we have the order ID. Here on the left-hand side, you'll see the list of tickets. These are particularly the names. You can attribute names to the tickets if you like. And in the drop-down, you'll see basically the experience that's been selected. My bookings, so these are all the tickets that are associated to this order. You'll see here that in this case, they have 3. Then there are 2 actions they can do per entitlement, modify or info. Info is very simple. It's simply a pop-up modal that displays more information about the attraction. It would be the same information that would be on the package description, if you will, when they're purchasing it. Then you have modify. Modify we'll go into just one second, and modify allows you to actually truly modify your tickets. On this particular one, this is the original one that was purchased, and you'll notice there's a date and time already associated to this ticket. The rest of these here needs date and time selection, needs date and time selection. These are just drawing your attention that these are still to be modified. The guests can also print their tickets from this view if they need to. So if they lost the tickets, they printed them originally, but they got destroyed for some reason, got wet, what have you, and they wanted to reprint them, they can reprint from this module as well. Okay, so let's go into the modification piece. So in this case, I've selected this entitlement or this ticket, Passport Point Observation Tower, and now I can modify those entitlements for that ticket. Okay, so you would see a calendar view, which has dates and times for the calendar they can select from. You'll see times on your right-hand side, and there's various different ways. So the gray boxes are purely just available times. The blue is what you're currently selected in. The slash one shows as unavailable. This is predominantly like if you had inventory for it, but it was sold out, it would show as that. And then the red one would show as conflict. So that is really highlighting the fact that you maybe have another entitlement attributed to this order that is also at 4:30. So you really shouldn't be booking 4:30 because there's no way you're going to be able to do 2 things at one time. So we kind of highlight that and call that out. There are also different rules that we can set up that allows you to have a sort of a buffer time in between attractions. So if you're on an attraction A and you need attraction B and you need 30 minutes to an hour in between attractions, there's rules that we can set up to do that, which would allow for this conflict resolution is what we call it. Okay. This attractions info button here just basically does the same thing as the previous one. Again, just kind of highlighting the attraction, and you can put in various description, bullet points, whatnot, if you wanted to just remind the guest what the attraction has in it to offer. Especially if the guest is trying to think about how long they need to spend in the attraction, you can add that to this attraction info. Typically, it takes a guest X amount of time to process. It's kind of helpful information if the guest is planning their day. And then this other one is mentioning the amount of times that a ticket can be modified. These are additional rules and parameters that you can configure per package to allow the guest to modify a ticket. So in this case, the guest can modify this ticket 5 times. And then this will start counting down each time they make save changes. And after 5 times, the ticket's kind of locked and they're no longer allowed to change it anymore. Okay. The accesso booking portal that we just went through, so that's been in the market approximately a year, and it's proving a great guest satisfier. We've seen about a 45% of e-commerce orders are modified via this booking portal. On-site orders are closer to about 13%, and guests typically visit attractions the same day when buying on site. So that's not really surprising that you see much more an uplift from the e-commerce store than you do from the on-site solution. The largest percentage of orders are modified within 30 days of purchase, and that's about 34%. And then 71% of entitlements are only modified one time, and they're modified on a mobile device. 65% of those came from a mobile device. So a very huge percentage of people modifying directly from the mobile phone. So again, very important for this to be mobile optimized. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next option, which is our cart abandonment tool. So the cart abandonment is very simple and clean. It invites guests back into the shopping process. In simple terms, the system captures an email address. Then the email is rendered as a reminder to the guests. They can click the reminder and purchase. They can access their saved cart, and it basically reduces that friction, that need to think about things, because it's saving the options there for them. And there's a lot of different variations of this in the marketplace today. Ours is very simple, very introductory in the functionality spectrum of things. And we're looking at how we can start building upon this, but it is something that we're now offering for free. So starting this month, actually in May, we're going to be running this out to any client with accesso Passport as a great tool to be able to capture repeat business and save the sale for guests. Okay, so let's dive a little bit into this and see how it works. So the process starts when a guest enters the storefront. And there's 2 options that we'll have in here that we can talk about, but one is the prompt method and one is the auto capture. So if a guest is in the shopping process and they are, they add some stuff in their cart and whatnot, and then they decide to abandon the cart and they click and X out of the store, then we will pop a modal that is basically a prompt that will ask them if they want to save their sale. They are allowed to say no, and they can continue as normal or close out of the store. No, nothing mandatory, but we do allow them to input that physically. And then we have the other one, which is auto capture. And basically this is depending on how deep they get into the purchase process, we capture an email address inherently. So on our billing cap demographics before the order is solidified, the guest puts in all their billing demographics and they also put in the email address. If they were to abandon at that point or anywhere post that point, we auto capture that email address and can trigger an email based off that. Okay, so let's go into the demo piece of it. Okay. So this is just a sample store that we'll walk through today. So I'm going to click on the tickets and passes. Launch into the store. This is the normal Passport organic store. I'm going to buy some general admission tickets. I'm going to add a couple here. And oh, well, let me highlight this. So this is the quick sell that I'd referenced earlier. This variation, it has 2 quick sells you can do. Notice I'll click on this one. It tells me the price, a little bit of verbiage, allows me to add quantities here. If I click on this one, it changes and shows me those. I can add quantities of that. And I'm going to add to my cart. Great. Now this is the upsell. This is our full page upsell. We allow you to do a customized graphic in the background, some bullet points that kind of explain it, a great price point of upgrade now for as low as this, or you can no thanks and continue. I'm going to do no thanks and continue. And now I get to my shopping cart, so let me go check out. This is what we call package level cross sells. So these can be assigned and set up at a package. You can set up 6 on this page, and I think we actually can allow pagination if you were to have more, but generally we try to keep everything in one view so the guest doesn't have to keep scrolling between pages and whatnot. Okay, I'm going to proceed to my cart. And now I'm on my main cart view. You'll see the things I have in my cart, my totals, and then this is a cart level cross sell. So these are 3 dynamic cross sells that trigger in. You can set up as many as you like, but we only display 3. And if a guest has one of these options in the cart already, then we won't show the cross sell. We'll pop in another one. That way it keeps it very fresh for what the guest is looking for. Now in this case, I'm going to close out, X out, and you notice my prompt. So this would be the prompt method. And here, I'm going to type in my email address. And save my cart. Cart has been saved. Okay, and then now you would set up rules and parameters of how often you want to trigger it. We recommend that you have the email to direct email the guest within 60 minutes of the cart save. We see much higher return rate of guests when they're configured within 60 minutes than when they're configured for longer durations. There are some clients prefer more like a 24-hour time period, but we do see lesser take rates of those periods. Okay, so now I would theoretically get an email very similar to this. It has a logo that would show the logo of your park. Cart has been saved. Quick little message. You can customize these as well. You can customize the verbiage in here and a simple cart summary of what we've been saved in the cart. And then this will allow you to complete your order and launch you back into the same view with the cart preloaded. Now this one, because of the timing piece, I'm going to go ahead and launch into a different store just so you see that. And you launch back into the store and you have your items and you can go purchase. I don't have to do any more clicking around other than complete my purchase. So pretty simple and straightforward of how to get the additional cart action. There are instances where you might have limited capacity. So if you're doing a special event where you're only selling, 50 tickets or something really minuscule, and you the guest chooses to save it. If they come back into the store and the inventory has been sold out, then we just don't show that line item in the cart. So it will just be gone, and they will only see tickets that are eligible for purchase. So if they've been sold out or inventory is changed, then they won't be able to try to purchase them, and then it won't even show for them in the cart. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so some quick facts about that. So now that we implemented the cart abandonment piece, 84% of guests have agreed that the service was a very helpful reminder of their shopping cart. 19% of the saved carts resulted in a completed sale. Very good stuff. And 16% of the purchasers said they wouldn't have returned if they didn't receive the email. 16% of guests might not have bought if they didn't receive the email. So that's a great uplift. That's a great potential that we can capture. So highly recommended new feature for us. Okay, so let's move on and we'll look at a couple of enhancements that we have for the 2019 roadmap. The first 2 are themed around our e-commerce journey. So the mobile piece. So 2 big features that are a focus for us is reduction in clicks and consolidation of views. Obviously, there's very targeted content that needs to be delivered of a product in order for a guest to understand and know what they're buying, but we're trying to reduce as much need, particularly on mobile form factors, the amount of clicks that a guest needs to have in order to purchase and what they have to see, what is critical for them to see before they have to purchase. There's a lot of information that we can show as optional, but if it's not critical to purchase, then we're trying to consolidate it down. So it's still there for you to have if you need it, but if it's not critical, we hide it. Okay, and then the next one is stored payment. The first iteration of this one is going to be using Braintree Vault, and it's basically allowing a guest, the guest will have to log in, so they will have to create an identity, but they will log in and then they can add a credit card. They can add any credit card that is supported within the framework, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, what have you, and save that to their profile. So then when they come back in at a later date and try to purchase again, if they log in, they can use those same saved credit cards to purchase again. And there's multiple iterations about how to make sure they're creating their account and they're saving their card. They can also remove cards, add new cards later on. So it's all about getting this true identity and this profile of a guest configured. Okay. The next is much needed for the international market. We have our gift aid support. And time again, we've heard in the international market, gift aid is something really big for both e-commerce and for point of sale. And this one's particularly for the e-commerce piece of it. Gift aid allows for UK charities particularly to claim back basic tax that's already been paid on donations by the donor. So it removes friction for a guest to donate to the client. It's a great feature and a very nice, easy win for them. So it's very top of mind for our cultural international guests. Okay, and then the last two are themed around more partnering with the accesso Seriousware product. So this first one here is the ski functionality. And I think there's a couple other seminars that we've done before that covers a little more in depth about the ski functionality. So I encourage you to check those out if you see them out there. But we're enhancing that feature. So last year we did a rollout of a lot of ski functionality, and now we're building upon that, much like I mentioned about the cart abandonment, how we want to build upon it. This one is tackling season pass modifiers, allowing for age verification based on the date of visit, stacking multiple modals together. We have a lot of places that have dynamic pricing, that have WTP reloads, that have various different components that all need to interact, and different integrations with different partners. And this one is going to allow us to stack those pieces together to make the more of the process for guests to purchase and kind of a wizarding concept. And then lastly, the dynamic pricing display. And that's just ability to continuously enhance the ability to pull in dynamic pricings based off the date of visit, based off the date and time of visit. So a lot of good things coming from the ski functionality. And then lastly is the exchange and accesso Seriousware integration. This one is basically really focused on resellers, trades, that trade concept. Seriousware has a tool in the groups module, I believe, and then Passport supports an exchange. These are tying the two together to allow a guest or client like yourself to use both solutions in one and for them to sync up on purchases. Okay, so that's our presentation for today, covering two great guest satisfaction tools, accesso Passport's booking portal and accesso Passport's e-commerce cart abandonment module. At this point, we're going to open it up for some Q&A. Lynette, do we have any questions that have been submitted?
Thank you, Shane. We actually do have a few that have been submitted already, but feel free to add any more questions that you have to the chat. Our first question is, how often are new features for accesso Passport being pushed out to clients?
Every 3 weeks at the very least. We do, for e-commerce, we do feature releases every 3 weeks. Our sprints run in 3-week cycles, and we push out a lot of feature enhancements. I can't count the number, quite a lot. Some of them are really targeted to individual clients or client requests, kind of professional services. And then generally the majority of them though are system enhancements.
Perfect, thank you. Our next question is, can the booking portal be used by guests who are international?
Yes, yes. And our first use case was actually international UK guests. So it is fully localized though, so you can support multiple languages. So if you want French, English, and whatnot, we can support those, or French, I'm sorry, not English, but French and Spanish or something, then yeah, you can support those in this. And it can be localized with currency symbols. It can be localized in terminology as well. So if you have a very particular terminology of to your individual region, then we can do that as well.
Great, thank you. And then our next question is, can we expect that the cart abandonment options will work with the accesso Seriesware, accesso Passport combo client sites?
Yeah, so the first phase of this, which is the one May coming up, is strictly only accesso Passport end-to-end clients. The next phase of it, we have a few minor tweaks to make sure, because there's some kind of inventory constraints that we have with the accesso Passport, accesso Seriesware integration that we have to just account for, but that's very soon coming.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe that was our last question. Let me see here. I do just want to say thank you, Shane, and thank you for everybody for attending today's webinar, What's New in accesso Passport. If we didn't have the chance to address your question or your concern, we'll follow up with you individually. If you have any other questions or would like to learn more about our accesso Passport solution, please feel free to contact us at sales@accesso.com. We'll be sending out the link to this recording within the next day. And on behalf of accesso, Shane, and myself, thank you again for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.